Give it up for the buzzsaw. Give it up for Aaron Mate. That's right, Aaron Mate of the Gray Zone. Shout out to him and Max Blumenthal for being the two most award-winning journalists who have been covering Truth to Power, who's been revealing the many hypocrisies of these wars that we are in, and overall the mass insanity of our entire, well, neoliberal global politicians who are leading us closer and closer to the sequel we've all been dreading, World War III. And in a power panel debate, Aaron Mate faces off against Piers Morgan, who has been milking the genocide in Gaza. I mean, Piers, listen. Maybe you should have Bassem Youssef on the show to give you a re-education again, just how out of touch you are, okay? Because again, every time he does these debates, do condemn Hamas, do bloody well condemn Hamas. I mean, his panels are all the same too. By the way, you know, you got two people who are against the war, and you got two people saying the IDF has every right to do what it needs to do. Which, by the way, recent reports are now coming out that the IDF could potentially be entering into Lebanon. Hey, more war. What could possibly go wrong? More war. Can we have a year of peace? Is that a bridge too far? I think, unfortunately, it is. I think it's a bridge just too damn far. So give it up for Aaron Mate, folks. So let's go ahead and get started with this in regards to this segment here. So let's go ahead and get started. Give it up for Aaron Mate.
What Israel should do is, for the first time in its history, abandon its quest for regional domination and supremacy. Starting in 1947, just a brief tour through history. Yes, Israel accepted partition publicly. Palestinians didn't. It's not nice to welcome the partition of your land, which is being stolen by foreigners. But privately, Israeli leaders, including David Ben-Gurion, said, we won't accept partition. We'll define for ourselves what our borders are. And that's why they proceeded to expel hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, including into Lebanon, creating this crisis. They refused to address that. Instead of addressing their expulsion of Palestinians and theft of their land, they've stolen more. In 1967. In 1982, the reason Israel invades Lebanon is because the PLO was there, and the PLO at that time was joining the rest of the world in accepting a compromise of a Palestinian state. Google the Arab Peace Initiative. It's been renewed many times to Israel. Israel's been offered by all the Arab states and the PLO, with even Iran joining them and accepting this. Everybody recognizing Israel, everybody making peace in exchange for Israel ending its occupation of the West Bank and Gaza. That's a major compromise for Palestinians. Israel is so hell-bent on domination, occupation, and supremacy, it's refused even to accept a Palestinian compromise. When Hamas tried to join that after 2005, when Israel withdrew, Israel still put Gaza under a complete siege, prevented any basic goods from getting in, carried out routine massacres. Even when Hamas leaders, including Ismail Haniyeh, who Israel recently killed, said, we will accept a Palestinian state, Israel will not accept it because Israel wants to dominate that region. That's the fundamental problem here. And as it was previously said, as long as Israel insists on supremacy and occupation, people are going.
By the way, I did have to sit through this entire panel. These are some of the highlights. But man, Aaron Mate couldn't catch a break, constantly being interrupted here.
Resist it. People will resist it. It's true. Google the Arab Peace Initiative, 2002. Google it.
Camp David Accords, 2000. What happened with the Clinton parameters, 2001?
I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened. You know what? I'll tell you what happened. The former Israeli Foreign Minister, Shlomo Ben-Ami, who was there at Camp David, do you want to know what he said? He was there at Camp David. This is the foreign minister who made the Camp David offer. He said, if I were a Palestinian, I would have rejected Camp David as well. You know why? Because he recognized that Israel insisted on keeping the major West Bank settlement blocks that make a Palestinian state impossible. That's the fundamental problem here. You don't see Palestinians as equal human beings, and you reserve the right to steal their land. And that's why you're interrupting me, because you can't handle the truth. That's the problem here. Stop being a supremacist, stop stealing land, and you can have peace.
Hey, he's not wrong there. Hey, stop stealing land. Maybe there'll be peace. Hey, stop starving men, women, and children. Which, by the way, again, look, all that's going to happen in Gaza is it's laying the foundations for the next war, okay? And right now, Israel's getting away with it in regards to men, women, and children starving, men, women, and children getting blown up. Now what? intense conflict now with Lebanon, furthering instigating something with Iran. What could go wrong in that region? It's a powder keg. I don't want to say it's ready to explode, but it, like, you know, in those old Saturday morning cartoons with Tom and Jerry, when the dynamite's about to explode and the little fire to the dynamite is getting closer and closer to the ignition point and just goes in and it looks like it's a dud. Right now, everyone saw the fire go into the dynamite. We don't know if it's a dud, just a delayed timer. Then kaboom, it blows up in everybody's face, and then we are screwed. This war could have been stopped at any point in time, by the way. You know, controversial statement here. Biden is the president of the United States. Kamala is the vice president of the United States. You know, they could kind of sort of use their political capital, their political power, their influence of being a global superpower to maybe halt this war. But oh, wait, AIPAC made the great investment in buying off our U.S. politicians. And that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
If we're talking about on October 7th, yes, Israel has the right to defend its civilians if they're being attacked. Okay, but Israel is an occupying power, and it's been an occupying power for decades. Occupiers don't have the right to defend their occupation. Israel doesn't have the right to fire a single bullet into Gaza. It has obligations. Occupiers have obligations. And if Israel wanted peace and security, what it would do is join the entire world, join the International Court of Justice, which just ruled that Israel doesn't have the right to control a single inch of the West Bank or Gaza, and end the occupation and address its decades-long attacks on Palestinians and also Lebanese, because, as was previously said, Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982, killed tens of thousands of people, and that's why Hezbollah was formed. If Israel wanted genuine peace and security, and it wanted to defend itself, it would stop brutalizing other people. And this claim was made before. What was Israel supposed to do in response to its people being kidnapped? That's the logic of October 7th, because there are thousands of Palestinians who have been brutalized and kidnapped in Israeli dungeons. Hamas launched October 7th to free them. The difference between Israel and Hamas is that Hamas actually has an argument, because Hamas has tried I didn't interrupt you.
Go! Damn, the buzzsaw. The buzzsaw's too crazy here, folks. The buzzsaw is too on point.
I did not interrupt you, please.
I wasn't lying.
Hamas has tried to accept the. You were actually. The Hamas has tried to accept the global consensus of a two-state solution, a big compromise for Palestinians, accepting just 22% of their homeland in the West Bank and Gaza. Israel's refused to join the rest of the world in accepting that two-state solution. Even Iran has voiced at times support for that. It's only Israel and the U.S. that insist on Israel's right to put Gaza under siege and steal Palestinian land in the West Bank. And that's why you have this continued escalation.
Prim 54, to answer your question, if Reagan can threaten to cut off weapons, why can't any other president? It's because Israel paid attention and like, okay, let's buy off the Senate and House. And hey, they took their time, but like any lobby group, AIPAC, like Big Oil, the military-industrial complex, Big Pharma, the healthcare insurance industry, and so many others, just wait your time and then buy them off. Buy them off slowly. Buy them slowly. And then you'll have the whole shebang, which explains why, again, that Representative Thomas Massey's statement is so on point. Everybody in Washington, D.C. has an AIPAC babysitter. They have a babysitter. That's why no weapons are going to be cut off. And that's why, again, you know, I got to look back to that interview that Bassem Youssef had on CNN earlier this year. Israel's going to get away with this, folks. Congress and our politicians aren't going to do a single thing. So uncommitted. Look, uncommitted. I'm going to speak to the volunteers. I don't know what's wrong with your leadership, uncommitted volunteers. But if you think the Democrats are going to do anything to make things easier or call for a ceasefire, you're gravely mistaken. It's not going to happen.
Hezbollah intervened on October 8th because they wanted to show Israel that there would be costs for committing mass murder, which is what Israel has done. And that's why Hezbollah was involved. Hezbollah said from the start it would stop its rockets if Israel stopped committing mass murder. Israel, unfortunately, is more committed to mass murder because it insists on the right to control that entire land and not accept Palestinians as equal human beings. That's the fundamental problem here.
Okay. Flo Hassan Nahum. I mean,
I don't know where to start. I really don't know where to start. First of all, he's talking about mass murder on October 8th. We were attacked on October 7th. We hadn't even gone in on October 8th. So I really don't understand what you're talking about. Secondly, he completely
You were waging the longest military occupation in the world.
Yes.
Yes, the longest military occupation, which is now, according to some accounts, we have mentioned the Lancet report, which talked about maybe either 180,000 to 250,000 dead Palestinian men, women, and children. That number could now be at, surprise, surprise, maybe 350,000 right now. And the number is climbing up. Now, currently, the reports that we do have is it being at 44,000. But with all of Gaza being turned into a moonscape at this point, and polio and other diseases running rampant, starvation running rampant, can you really look at those numbers and say, like, oh, yeah, it's just 44,000? No. The number's much higher, folks. We haven't found all the bodies. I want to pull up another video segment. This is where, because people are asking, why is Piers Morgan so quiet? Because the early stages of October 7th seems to be perturbing a lot of people. So hold on, folks. Brace yourself for this one.
Every state, including Israel, has the right to defend itself. But let's examine what that right entails. If we're talking about October 7th, when, yes, some Hamas militants committed atrocities, they're on camera. There was a claim before, by the way, that there was rape by Hamas. There actually isn't evidence for a single case of rape, even 1 year later. And I'm happy to debate that.
I've got to. I'm sorry. I've got to stop.
Hold on a second.
No,
hold on a
I have
second,
to correct you there. I have seen.
Can I finish my point?
There has been widespread evidence of rape and sexual abuse against women on October the 7th.
There hasn't. There actually hasn't. We'll debate that some other time. We'll debate that some other time. I'm going to finish my point. There is not a single shred of evidence for it, but we'll debate some other time. Listen, we're talking about October 7th. Israel has the right on October 7th to defend its people. Let me finish my... Piers, every time I come on here, I can't talk.
Okay,
let me talk.
To be fair,
I'm talking.
Aaron,
I didn't interrupt you.
Aaron, okay.
No,
I didn't interrupt anybody.
Wow. It's as soon as you break that narrative, oh my goodness. By the way, this guy's being noticeably quiet, but it's all good. But of course, you can have Piers Morgan coming in. Do you bloody well condemn Hamas? Do you condemn Hamas? Do you condemn Hamas? It's very interesting when you see the bully acting vocal and irrational.
Aaron, look what I would say. You say every time you come on here this happens, but you just started with an unbelievably inflammatory and incorrect statement, which is that there was no sexual abuse of women on October the 7th.
There's no evidence of it. My previous...
multiple.
We'll debate that some other time.
Of sexual abuse
and
rape.
No.
Which, by the way, I do want to pull this up here as well, because there was a final conclusion between this debate. So let's go ahead and pull that portion up here. There's a lot in regards to the highlights, and I will give out the original link when I clip this video segment. Let's pull this up here.
Why are his sons billionaires? Why? Because all of the money that the West has given these entities, these government entities, to create a state, to start creating state institutions, to do better for their people, to create an economy, all of that has gone into the pocket. So what do we have? We have a Palestinian leadership, which is either believes in the destruction of the state of Israel, or the ones who don't, they just steal. So what are you left with?
Hold on, lady. What about Netanyahu's government? Because nobody wants to talk about the weeks or months before October 7th, because turns out Netanyahu had some problems. A lot of people weren't a fan of his government. He kind of had to do a little wag the dog moment, which, don't worry, people have already forgotten it. But never forget that the New York Times did an article where the IDF was given the heads up, like, hey, this attack is coming. It's almost as if this is the perfect distraction so people stop asking questions.
I really want a Palestinian Mandela. I really want a Palestinian Gandhi. I want to live in peace. I don't want to rule in other people, and nobody in Israel does. But what do we get every time we try to give a territorial compromise? We get terror cells and murder. What happened after the 2000 Oslo deal? What happened? What happened was the Second Intifada, with thousands of people, Jews and Arabs, in the city of Jerusalem, in my city, dead on the street, terrorism in cafes and in buses. Why did that happen? If the terms weren't great, then why didn't Arafat continue negotiating? And I'll tell you this, and I'll repeat it again, because the problem of this conflict is not that a Palestinian state doesn't exist. It's that a Jewish state exists, and they've never, ever ideologically accepted it. And why do I know? Because they keep telling me. Because they have charters, because that's their constitution.
Do you have Google?
And that's the educational
Google?
system. And that's the media. Enough with Google. Don't you read anything else?
All right, listen.
Yeah, Google Arab League Peace Initiative.
Okay, listen.
Google Arab League. That's the
Hey, Piers, stop interrupting. Stop interrupting. Don't make me get Bassem Youssef on to make you eat that humble pie again.
Arab League offering
And the
Israel.
Okay.
I forgot the woman right there just rolls her eyes like, oh, my brain, it can't take this anymore.
Institution.
Do you have Google?
And that's the educational
Google?
system. And that's the media. Enough with Google. Don't you read anything else?
All right, listen.
Yeah, Google Arab League Peace Initiative.
Okay, listen.
Google Arab League. That's
Aaron,
the Arab League offering
And the
Israel full
Palestinians
normalization,
rejected
Hang
that.
on,
under the
everyone.
occupation.
Abraham
If
Accords,
you want to
the
talk about
Palestinians
Palestinian
rejected that
Mandelas,
too.
if you want to, excuse me, if you want to talk about Palestinian Mandelas, they exist. For example, in March
Where
2018,
are they?
thousands of Palestinian Mandelas marched peacefully in Gaza in the Great March of Return, calling for their basic rights. What did Israel do? It gunned them down with snipers, maiming people,
They were
paralyzing them.
Hamas
That's the Palestinian
terrorists who
Mandela. Yeah,
they
they're,
were
they're,
not-
they're,
they
they're
were
people
Hamas.
of Gaza
you're saying
who've
that
been
the
besieged for
Palestinian
decades,
Mandelas
wanting their
in
basic
Hamas-
rights.
Are you saying the
You have
Palestinian Mandelas
you
in
have
Hamas?
complete.
Have you ever been to Gaza? Honestly, you people are
They're
talking
the
like
people.
armchair
Yes, I have been to
activists.
Gaza. Yes, I have.
Okay, sure.
I have been to Gaza actually, and
You know
I've met
what?
the
I can
people
answer your
there.
question.
who wanna
Lucky you're
live
not
in
a
peace.
woman then.
They've never been given the chance. Okay, can I talk now?
No, they've
Can I
never
talk
been
now?
given the
I've
chance.
been to
2005 never
Gaza.
gave them that chance. Stop infantilizing the
Okay,
Palestinian
I'm
leadership
gonna,
and the people.
I'm going to talk now. I'm going to speak now. You've had your time to speak your propaganda. I'll say it again. Israel has never accepted the fundamental premise that Palestinians have the right to self-determination. That's why it rejected multiple Arab League peace offers endorsed by Iran and Hamas and members of Hamas, not all of them, but some of the leadership, including Ismail Haniyeh, calling for a Palestinian state in the West Bank and Gaza. That's a big compromise for Palestinians. That's just 22% of the land that you stole, which they're willing to accept. But Israel is so
Stole.
hell-bent on occupying and stealing land,
that
it won't
premise
even
is
accept a
already
Palestinian
mistaken.
surrender. You don't want a
That's-
Palestinian
what
Mandela.
surrender?
You
What
want to
surrender?
keep subjugating Palestinians.
What
and
are you talking about? You're living in
This is
your own
us
planet
against
where
us.
Islamic fundamentalism does not exist in your planet.
You're the
Islamic
fundamentalist
fundamentalism
who
doesn't
insists
exist in your
Let me
on
ask
planet.
you a
stealing other
Where are
people's
you
land.
living?
Hold on. Don't worry. Don't worry. Piers Morgan is going to have the big brain plan to stop this all. Okay, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. You want to know why? He's got the perfect end response.
You're the
So where are
fundamentalist.
you?
Okay, time out.
Reality.
Time out.
That's
I
the
think.
one
At
thing.
the-
Okay,
I think-
I want to
Hang on,
answer
no,
your
no, hang on.
question.
We've reached a point when all four of you are trying to talk at the same time. That probably seems to me a good moment to bring this to an end. I have to say,
You keep milking this conflict, Pierce. Because here's the thing, folks. I'm going to show you something after this. As soon as we hear Piers Morgan's great breakdown. There's a reason why he's kind of milking this. Okay, there's a reason why he always keeps on having these debates. You know, either you have Aaron Monte or Max Blumenthal, and occasionally, yes, even Fat Tony, aka Cenk Uygur, being a panelist on Piers Morgan's show. But I'll show you why. I have a theory, a big brain theory, and it explains everything why Piers Morgan's been doing the same show now, or at least covering the Gaza conflict throughout this entire year like this.
I've done a lot of debates on this in the last year. This has been one of the best because I honestly believe that all of you are coming at this from your own perspectives. You're passionate, you're articulate about it, you care, and ultimately we all want the same thing, which is peace. But I appreciate you all coming together today and debating it. Thank you very much.
So let me show you my theory. Again, huge shout out to Aaron Mate. He's one of the dauntless few actually able to, not only speak truth to power, but again, the Gray Zone is an award-winning journalist news outlet. They have spoken truth to power. And no matter what, they keep on gaining ground. So let's talk about why. We keep seeing this from Piers. Well, if you guys look right here, this was his first interaction with Bassem Youssef 11 months ago. At 22 million views. 22 million views. That's 22 million views. The only time he's ever come close to that again is this one with second one. Round 2 was 11 million views 10 months ago. Trying to get that lightning in the bottle. So what can we take from this? First of all, Aaron Mate is the goddamn buzzsaw. Don't you ever forget that. All right. He's regulated and he owned. And sadly, unfortunately, we're still going to be witnessing more men and women and children dying in Gaza. We're going to be witnessing more people suffering in Gaza. And we are going to be seeing the fact that a conflict with Lebanon is going to escalate. What's next? Syria, Iran? Where else are we going? Where else will this war go to? Is Egypt next? Who's next? And I remember giving this warning to a lot of people that as soon as this, because again, at this point, what's there left to destroy in Gaza except the remnants of the people there? And Netanyahu, knowing that he has problems internally with his government, he has to have a distraction. And what's the biggest distraction there is? More war. But as we all have seen throughout history, all nations and empires that are doing constant forever wars are always on the decline. It always blows up in their face, no pun intended. There should be peace, but we're not going to get it. The U.S. should call for peace talks and call for a ceasefire, but that's not going to happen. AIPAC owns our politicians. And do you think the UN or the European Union or anybody else is going to step in? No, because they got their marching orders too. The war will continue on, and it's going to take a different shape and form. So if we thought things were bad in 2024, look out for 2025. It's the year of the snake.